Hi, welcome to Quirky Queen's Journals. My name's Kirsten. So I have been cleaning out, destashing and generally cleaning up, and I have made so much stuff. And I'm going to go through it all with you. So I got rid of 7 bags of papers to the recycling. So I'm just going to go through, show you what I've made. Love this, and I hope you enjoy. So the first thing is journal cards, postcards, small pictures to put in frames. That's what I've made. So a lot of this is with old paintings, and I've put some jelly print on the other side of it. Got a lot of lovely ones here as well. That's actually the back of a book cover. So these are almost like bases. They haven't been sort of identified as what they're going to be. Some of them, it's more obvious. That's going to be a journal card because of the way that I have gel printed on there. There's been 2 bits of paper in the way. Some of them I've rounded corners, I've done sewing on some of them I've still to get. But basically all you need for this is some glue, some stamping ink and a corner rounder. And then you can turn all your kind of spare book pages, gel prints, paintings into a variety of items. Some of these could even end up as tags. So that's a gel print and that's a book page. Rounded corners, ink around the edges, that'll look lovely. The second thing that I've made is clusters. These are just bits of book pages, bits of scrap, bits of fabric, bits of jelly prints, all sorts. Put onto some brown paper, just layered up. And then what I've done is I've just put them through the sewing machine, one after the other, created a big kind of cluster bunting, and then snipped them in between each side. So we've got these wavy lines. When I first did it, they were a lot straighter. And I think the wavy line, all right, I'm showing you all wavy lines. I think the wavy lines works well on it. And because I'm doing it, I'm feeding it into the machine, then I'm not controlling how the line is, and I think that just adds to it. So what I would do is I generally stapled on the bits of paper onto brown paper. This is like a voile neck curtain and the glue stick doesn't stick to it very well, so I had to put a staple in the front. But generally I had the staple with a sort of focal point image. That's the clusters. Number 3 is labels. So I have made some master boards that I'll show you, and I cut a lot of them down, and I have a mixture of ones that are kind of black and white and got writing on them, and some that are like gel prints. So again, I just fed it through the sewing machine to get the lines so that they weren't perfectly straight. And I've put the stamping ink around the outsides, rounded the corners, and I've done a little bit of stamping. I have this stamp that I generally used because it's got nice writing. You can see it there. So they're lovely wee add-ons as well. The cluster's great because it's like you can add one thing to the page and it's beautiful. But these are lovely additions when there's other things in the page. Now next we're doing envelopes. So these are the master boards. What I've done is it's a mixture of book pages and gel prints. And basically A4 sheet, and then I folded it to create an envelope shape. And I've put ink on it as well to give it a kind of glazed colour. Because obviously there are lots of different scrap papers, and it just gives them a bit of cohesion. So these are like bases to be added to. And I've just sewn them up along here, 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 and then round the top. So it's like one big circle. And then these are coin envelopes. And again, a lot of that is gel prints. What I did was I laid out a big sheet of cling film, got it to lie flat, and then I put down the coin envelopes all like this. So I probably got about 20, say, in one go. And then I used wallpaper paste and I pasted on top of all the envelopes, and then I've laid down gel prints on top and other bits of paper. Like this here is actually when I did the marbling. You might recognise that these from the oil pastel resist video. Anyway, and then I put more wallpaper paste over the top of the gel prints that were on top, and then I've just left it to dry. Took a few hours, and then the next day I've come in, I've put a sticker, you know, a label that I've gel printed on. I made a whole lot of labels through gel printing, and sewed a little trim fabric trim on each of them. And so they're just lovely. Again, they could go onto the page like a pocket, you know, like attached. So you've just got one side, whether it's this side or this side, or it could be put into a tuck spot or something, or it can just be on its own with a little gift card or something for somebody in it. But I made a lot of them. We'll go to papers because this is the bit I'm most excited about. I've made lots and lots of papers. So I'm going to start with these ones. These I used wallpaper paste for. So again, cling film, sheet of tissue paper, lots of wallpaper paste on, and then I have lots of circles. Now these are actually card circles. I just punched these out of old paintings I wasn't happy with. They're card circles. This would have been better if I'd used paper circles because the folding is an issue. But I'll know for next time. So I just laid a lot of circles out, like so. And then you've got a choice. You could use the white side or the coloured side. This is the same process, cling film, the top sheet of a napkin laid with the good side down on top of the cling film. Then I've put the wallpaper paste over the napkin. I've put some embroidery thread. It's quite thick, it looks a bit woolly. It's like a thin wool. Just higgledy-piggledy over it. And then I've put down tissue paper and I've put more wallpaper paste on top of that. Now this is tissue paper, wallpaper paste and raffia. This stuff here. Same process. This, I swirled this one. These are like plastic faux, sort of half plastic, half material faux leaves that I did it with. Now this one's harder to see, but this is thread, white thread. So when I've put down the wallpaper paste on top of the tissue paper, I've sat with the thread and just snipped it and then went up again, snipped. So I've created a grid effect. Now, this one's my favourite. Circles. They are thread circles. More raffia, more raffia, more raffia. I like the raffia one. So then I kind of took that idea to extremes. And on top of the cling film, I laid down bits of the scrap papers. Then I've put thread on. Sorry, I put the wallpaper paste on, threads, and then just made more. So I've got lots of scrappy bits and pieces here that I can cut out and use. So I've got quite a lot of them, to be fair. Oh, and this is, I made these, I've told my daughter I'll make her a wedding journal. So this is some of the dried flowers that were on the top table. Wee yellow roses. Just made it the same way as the rest. They're like little white, I'm not sure what they're called. Smells nice. And they're like little, they look like little Christmas trees. Sort of. And these are the masterboards that I've been talking about. Oh, you might remember that from my 10 Super Techniques. So again, just the glue stick, sticking bits on. Some of them are quite big as well, and I've used bigger bits. So I've got quite a variety there to choose from. I made quite a lot of them. What else have I got in here? Oh, just more of the same. But even just the way the sound and the feel and the texture of it changes. So it's lovely. The papers to be used is the biggest thing that I've made. So I'm in love with these. I have lots of these. That's the back. I'm actually going to do a video, a more expansive video on this type of thing. My daughter got me baubles for my Christmas to stop me stealing hers. And all she did was give me good organisational tools. Anyway, so this is inks, and that is high flow acrylic ink. And it's like the gold resists the ink. So you can see it's picked it up, but it's got an underwater look. I don't know, I think it's like a galaxy. So these are just inks that I've used. Drawing pen inks, you know, inks. I'm not going to open the rest of it. What I did when I did the gold marks as well is they were a bit thick. So you'll notice these 2 pages here are very similar. So when I put out the gold ink, I just got another sheet of paper and laid it on top. But do you see, even at the back, the inks came through, but these are solid white. So that's called a resist. So these are like resist papers, but I'm going to do a whole video on sort of painted paper resists. I love this one. It is like underwater, the way that the blue sits on top of the gold. These papers here are from these are just, you know, the papers that I sit underneath when I'm painting and stuff. So a lot of that. And again, this is just inks that I've used. This is where I discovered about that gold, because I was putting it over this and then I thought, oh. So of course I had to make another 10 papers. But you can see there that all the paints, the mediums, the glues, everything that I've been using on these papers, when you put the ink on top, you get different effects from it. And even on the back, see there where these paint blobs are? It's white there, but then you've got like dendrites going in and out of them. So I made a load of them. Again, they can be used for collage, for journal pages, added to, I mean, I'm probably going to try gel printing and things like that on these. Now these are mommy gammy papers. So a lot of these are the ones that I did the wallpaper paste on. And then I've used some of them. You don't need to use the hand lotion because the wallpaper paste has that, I don't know what it is that's in it. But whatever it is that's in it helps you do the mommy gammy without actually having to use like an oil or a hand lotion. So I've just got a few book pages. This is part of a gel print as well. I've still got to do a bit more. This is a book page. That's one of the paste papers I did. That feels amazing. So, and this is one of the marbled papers on tissue paper. And it's lovely. I don't think I used hand lotion on that. I did on, I think I used hand lotion, I can tell. The hand lotion, oh, it smells amazing. But it does add to the overall effect. Although you don't need to use it if you have the wallpaper paste on your papers already. Just think it helps. It's actually, I love the way that it does something to some of the colours get brighter, but it also kind of mutes back your shinier pages. Anyway, that's that. Right, this one here is, I kind of took apart some old journals. So I've got quite a lot of I've got a lot of pages from them. So these are like, I made that, this is one of my earlier videos I made that on, and I've just cut out bits there. But I've done a lot of work in these with distressing them, and you know, they're sturdy. And I thought, you know, these make, not only do they make brilliant bases, but they'd be brilliant to just be part of something new. So that's what these are. I mean, see that? That's lovely. Just like that. It was collaging, but it was like kind of layering upon layering of it. So I had book pages and then I was collaging on top, but thickly collaging. So these have got matte medium on top as well, most of them. Look, that's the back of a DVD cover. And what I plan to do is I'll either use them, but also because of the way the collage is, you know, it's not even, I might use them in the gel plate. Now this is an altered book I'd made, and I'd painted all the pages a pale pink, so I kept some of them, trimmed them down, and I can use them again. This is similar to the other one with the thicker collage, but instead of putting the matte medium on top, I've put tissue paper on top. That was one that I'd used gesso and the paint, and then I was doing some mark making into it. And these are just trims that I've cut off of other journals. These are a sunflower series that I did using, I was trying out a stencil that Christy Hartman designed for PM Artist Studio, and I thought, you know, I've got a whole series here, so they'll be great to use for something. And then I've also got these, it's 10 pages, book pages, where I've literally just matte mediumed bits of napkin on, and then I've distressed down the edges. And there's more trims that I've took off the edges of stuff that I wasn't keeping anymore. Just little trims that I thought could be useful to go on to other journals. Papers was probably my biggest thing. Altered playing cards. So I did the wallpaper paste thing with these as well. I laid down the napkin or the tissue paper or whatever it is that I used. It was a variety between the napkin and the tissue paper. And then I've put the playing cards down just like so, and then put more wallpaper paste on, and then put another napkin sheet on top. And then once they're all dried, I've sprayed them with Lindy's, these sprays, mica sprays, that's what they're called. And then I've literally just put a little tab made up of either paper or material along the top. And I've just put them through the sewing machine like that. So I love them, they're just lovely. They would sit in little pockets just wonderfully. So I've got quite a lot of them in there. Oh, and this is a sort of masterboard I'd made a long time ago and then never did anything with. So I've just put some wee bits of gel print and wee journal stickers on them. Next we have pockets. Lots of pockets. We'll ignore them, they're not part of it. So These are library pockets. That is a big sticker. You peel that off and then you stick it onto a page. So I've put some gel prints on there. And I think that'll be lovely with like a gel printed tag. Because this is the library card that goes with them. And then just round the corners, a wee bit of black ink round it all, and that'll be lovely. The little coin envelopes, like this here, cling film, tissue paper or napkin, wallpaper paste, and then laid all the envelopes out on top of it. And then these are little paper flowers, and actually in some of them it's not so obvious in that one. Some of them, the colour has kind of bled out into the napkin. You can see it there. And it's just lovely. So, once they were dried, I've torn off the tops. This here. So there we go. They're just lovely wee distressed pockets. I've put a couple of wee bits of material at the sides just to make them a bit more interesting to look at. Kind of, they're very lovely and distressed. I mean, there's literally so many of them. And some of them I added raffia in as well. So when I'm putting on the second layer of napkin, once I've laid down all the coin envelopes, I've put the raffia down and then put the napkin on top. And then this is library cards, index cards, tuck spots, bookmarks, belly bands and tags. So a lot of these, like this here is a picture that I'd painted a long time ago and I'd varnished with proper varnish. So I'd kept it all this time, but I was never going to use it. I didn't like it. So I've cut that up, put an eyelet in, cut the corners and then put one of my gel prints on the back. That one, if the back of the picture was white, I generally didn't put something on the back. That there's got a bit of a gel print, but again, we can add more around it. So these are like bases. And then these could be belly bands, they could be bookmarks, they could be tags, they could be anything. They're just ready to use. And then the tuck spot, I literally just, not really, tuck spots and pockets are very similar, so that one got forgotten about. I just cut them into triangles, some of those masterboards that had a thicker backing. So that's kind of somewhere between paper and card. Put some stitching around the edges and that's that. Now we have focal points. So I've got lots of little images. And what I've done is I've backed most of them so that I can also use it on its own or it can come off the side. Just makes it sturdier and it means that I've got more choices in how I use it. So these are just lots of images from book pages. That's like an antiques book that I've got. There's lots of them. I got lots out of that one. Focal points is something I actually struggle with. That shouldn't be in here. Oh, a lot. Maybe get little jelly print focal points. That's that paste paper again. I've well used that. I clearly like that design a lot. Now, this is lots of scrap paper that was just lying about, and what I've done is I've just made myself some little mark making books. I might send some of these out. You know, I make wee packs up. But that's what these are. So these ones have all just got your standard 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Not very well done. And then these ones here, these could be made into like, you know, signatures if I'd If I found 3 that were rough, there's 2 that are roughly the same size. But I've just sewn right up the middle. Probably need to trim them down a wee bit. But it's just interesting. There's interesting pages, like when you think back to when I used the inks, and if there was like mediums or paints or whatever that I'd used previously on it, then you know that's all going to be very interesting when I go to use these. These are just little notepads, literally a collection of paper, something fancy bit of paper over the top. Some of them I've put a wee trim on, and then just a wee bit of sewing across the top. And then these here are like these are part of what I showed you about the papers that I was making. So some of these I've made just into little concertina type journal bases that can be used, you know, at a later date. Basically, I've been making, it's almost like stuff to be prepared with. And then I've got these ones, exactly the same as those ones, but did some stitching in them. So again, that's just a starting point. I'm showing you the wrong side. I'm supposed to be showing you the side that's got all the bits and bobs. It's just like that. So it was a very successful destash, but I am actually tired because I really have worked very hard at making a lot of this stuff over the last few days, and I really don't want to see a sewing machine again for quite a while. It's not really my forte, sewing. But anyway, if anybody's interested in seeing a sort of any process videos for any of these, like I say, I will do the sort of ink resist papers. But apart from that, if anybody's interested in seeing anything, please let me know. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and take care, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!